Welcome to Pat O'Malley's Naked City podcast. Um, we run a little late and appreciate your patience. This is new to me, and we're trying to get the hang of it. We will discuss today what's been going on this week. But first, I want to invite you to my church, Browns Community Fellowship Church on Central Boulevard. Services are at 9, 10:30, and 12. I love my church. For me, it's a place to reconnect with God and thank Him for the many blessings I receive during the week and every day, and His guidance in my life, and how He's making me better, or has brought me people that are helping me to be better, do better. I'm by far not perfect, but I'm a person of faith, and that faith has gotten me through the darkest times. We all face challenges, and we all face hardships, and we all have needs, and we also have others that need our support, our prayers, whether it's illness or uh, going through some tough times. I tell people, you just have a little faith and turn to Him. Things will work out. Sometimes we don't get the what we want, but it's for a reason. And but we're not alone. So I invite you to our church. Uh, this is a place where I think you would feel at home if you're looking for a church, or if you just want to visit. Come by and check us out. Uh, I urge you to take time to understand what's going on around us in our country, uh, in our city, the politics, uh, the way things are changing. I never dreamed in my lifetime that I would see where uh, we've turned away so far to the left. We've gone so far to the left, and we turned away so much from God, really, that I believe that that's why we're in a mess. Hopefully, we'll get through this. I'm confident we will. But right now, it seems like the world's upside down, where right is wrong and wrong is right, and lies are truth and truth are lies, and cheating is fair and acceptable, and integrity no longer matters. Ethics doesn't matter, and it's just horrible. I see it here locally. Um, some people will do anything to get what they want. I always ask my God to let it be His will. If it's good for me, great. If it's not, I don't want it. So if you'll stop and think about it, whether you're religious or not, uh, it's it's a crazy time we're living in. I never dreamed that our country would be in this situation where the Constitution doesn't matter. The media has gone so far off the rails to where it promotes evil, and it's a propaganda machine to where it's not there to uphold the values of our country. It's not there to uphold the Constitution. It's there to uh, undermine, and it's inviting socialism, communism, and that is not the path um, that we should be taking. And we got to be aware that we're not going to be here forever, and our children and our grandchildren are going to inherit what we do. So we better be very careful what we wish for, uh, or what we support, because in the end, that's what we're going to leave them. That will be our legacy. And I think that we're in the path of destruction, and it's not something that I think you would want for your children or your grandchildren. So uh, be careful. Uh, don't go along just to get along when you know it's wrong. Um, be careful when you support somebody that you know is lying and is doing for self-serving reasons, regardless why they do it. It's not right, and call them out. Push back. Don't be silent, because evil only exists if we are silent. Um, we're witnessing today. Well, we said, uh, our father said, that history should not repeat itself, that we should never forget. And I'm talking about the Holocaust. Uh, 6 million Jewish people died. They were put in concentration camps and taken to the gas chamber. And today we're seeing the anti-Semitic uh, things that are going on, and the media celebrates it, and our young people embrace it. And I really believe they don't understand that by supporting that and allowing that, it's going to come back to haunt us and them. They will not be uh, allowed to express themselves like they express themselves today. They could be executed uh, like for speaking out or going against uh, the government that we should create. Should we allow that type of thinking to go on, to where we won't have a democracy and we'll be enslaved to tyranny because we supported it, thinking that you know it was fashionable to go along with uh, you know the anti-Semitic propaganda and stuff like that. So I urge you to really have some deep search in your soul. If you know it's wrong, speak out. Let's start the podcast with a word of prayer. God, we come before you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, that you guide us in our daily lives, that you define our purpose in life to better serve you, to better serve our family and our community. We pray for our elected leaders that they are be guided to do what is right for the common good, that they understand that nothing is hidden from you, and that we all will be held accountable, and that the opportunity in public service is not to put themselves first, but to put you first in the service of their cause as public servants. In this we ask in Jesus' name, amen. Um, During this week, well, we had the county runoff, and for someone like me, it wasn't the outcome that I had hoped for. But Steve won. I still question a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, I believe his type of campaign is not acceptable. It's he used AI and what I call gutter politics, lies and propaganda. He convinced a lot of people. But again, that goes back to what I said. Be careful what you wish for, because in the end, I think he will not succeed, even if he gets elected, because I don't think he will be blessed. I heard many things like during the campaign that uh, they were importing voters from Matamoros. You know, if that's true, just because they're citizens of the United States but live in Matamoros, it doesn't make it illegal for them to vote in our elections. I heard they were paying $50 for people to go vote. I heard they were paying those people that carpool children to and from Matamoros for school to go vote. Um, the campaign was very, very expensive, and I hear a lot of expenses weren't reported. There was some dark money. Um, if it's so, I can't tell you it was, but that's what I heard on the street. But if it's so, it'll come out eventually. It'll come out. It always does. And I think uh, maybe the FBI should investigate if there's good reason uh, to suspect that some irregularities were taking place during this last election. Um, Hopefully, maybe somebody will put out a big reward for whistleblowers to come forward if they have any information, if there was some improprieties uh, to voting there. But the that runoff is over. Now they're headed for the general election in November, and Mauro Gasa will be running against Steve Guerra. And I'm going to support Mauro. I'm a Democrat, but I'm not the type of person that goes by party in the general election. I always go by the person. Um, if I believe their heart's in the right place, and if I believe they'll be good leaders, or they have potential, I will support them. Um, so I invite you, if you supported Eddie, to support Mauro. Give him a chance. I think if you compare the two candidates, I think based on ethics and integrity, Mauro stands uh, above uh, Steve, in my opinion. Okay, you can have yours. You can disagree with me, and if that's what you believe, that's fine. But I'm just telling you what I believe. I believe we need somebody that can lead, that will put the county first and and do the right thing. So I invite you to support Mauro in the general election, and don't go by the party, and don't go by you being told to vote this way because that's the way it is. Um, we gotta vote, make our vote count, um, for what is right and for a county to move forward. I think the biggest problem is learning to work together. My biggest nightmare on the commission was Atkinson, Charlie Atkinson, because his heart was not for the community; it was all about him. And I don't mind disagreeing, but that guy was just sick, disgusting, vile. Uh, it's somebody that I have the worst opinion of and disgust for because I saw him in action, what he was all about, and I just can't stand him. And maybe that's not right for me to say as a Christian, but it's true. I mean, I just saw the worst of what he brought to the table as a commissioner. He tried to undermine everything. It was all about his influences, his friends, and what he could get out of it. And to me, I shouldn't say that, but he was a piece of shit. You know, and I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to say it because that's what I feel. Um, and I think now that we have two new, one new candidate, and Steve is going to the general election with Mauro. I don't think they can use the same dirty politics they used against Eddie. And the way they did it with Eddie is they used AI and they used partial facts and they manipulated to make it look something that it was not. And like I tell you, Eddie was no friend of mine. We've never been friends. We've never had a cup of coffee together. In fact, we've been at odds. But I in this instance, I felt very strongly that I got involved because of the gutter politics. I didn't like the way it was going. Uh, for instance, like I said before, uh, they blamed Eddie for a lot of things that really he was the board attorney. Are you going to fire all board attorneys because they do their job? Or he supported the Mareda project, which I opposed. Uh, you know, he tried to pass it. The voters said no. So it's in the story. You had a voice in it, and you didn't like his project or his policies, and you voted against it. So that's democracy at work. But that doesn't mean that it was he's a bad person or he was doing it for the wrong reasons. I mean, I saw in the city where the city was providing a lot of incentives or subsidies to developers. I put a stop to that. I led the charge and I put a stop to that. But you see, how many before me went along with it, and nobody said anything. I got blasted for it. I got criticized. There was a lot of turmoil because I was trying to put a stop to it. So that's politics. But to make it seem like I was getting something or something like that, that would be untrue. And today, that's what the way they maybe would look at it and do the AI and all this stuff, like they're doing to Adela Garza, the TSC race right now, which is going on. Tomorrow's early voting ends. Tomorrow, early voting ends. And I support Adela. And I'm going to ask you to really stop and think what's going on. Now JJ, and I had supported JJ before, but again, the dirty politics is, and I was quiet. I was quiet till he came out with his BS and dirty politics. And I'm very disappointed in some people that are supporting that kind of politics because it's going to take over our community. And before you're going to see, no one's going to want to run. No one's going to want to run. Why subject yourself to scumbags like that can manipulate and use AI and promote lies as truth and get away with it and get elected, rewarded? Who would want to run? You're going to turn over, if he gets elected and people like him get elected, you're going to turn over government to scumbags. You're going to turn over government to people from Mexico to run our city and local governments here. And I don't think that's what you want. You may not like Adela for whatever reason, but I ask you to put your personal feelings aside and emotions aside and stop and think. She had the courage to go against establishment when TSC had been eliminated for all practical purpose. We didn't have a junior college. UT took it over. It got all the benefits of taking over our junior college. It was able to sell bonds. It was able to use our tax base for their projects and their doings. And they took over our lands, all because of they took over TSC. And they did away with all the trade programs and everything. So Adela went against the establishment. Not only her, there was others like Kiko and Trey and others that were there. They had the courage, but Adela was the one that had the pants, I think, and went against the establishment and said, "We're taking TSC back," and they did. And now it's thriving. And if you forget that, shame on you. Because without her, we wouldn't have our junior college back to where now students are thriving in different fields. They have state-of-the-art art simulation. They have mannequins for training in allied health. They have legal center, ABA certified. They have welding, pipe fitting, and anything industry needs with over 70 workforce programs. And the more we train our young people, the better they can have a good life. They can support their family. We've been ranked as one of the poorest cities and counties in the nation. And the only way we're going to get out of that hole, that bottomless pit, is by training, providing education opportunities, whether it's a bachelor's or a master's or a trade, like in pipe fitting, welding, nursing, or something. Then you can improve the quality of life for everybody because it has a major impact. They have more money to spend, and the economy will be healthier here. There'll be less social dependency. Okay, so TSC has come a long way since Adela and that group reclaimed it, and thanks to her, I'm loyal. I'm loyal. Sometimes I've had it. I told you I made her cry one day, but and then I have my differences, and maybe tomorrow we won't be friends, and that's okay with me. But I cannot forget that she had the courage to do what's right, reclaim the junior college, to provide our young people with so many opportunities that many have benefited up to date. And I want to continue that. And I can tell you, she was very instrumental, along with the board right now, to where because they were leasing space to the University of Texas, and University of Texas they want to pay more rent, but they raised their rent, and it's not easy because these people will wine and dine you and get your vote, not to do what's in the best interest for the common good, but what's in their best interest. And the board hung firm, and they raised the rent on them, and things like that. It requires leadership, and I've been mayor twice, and I served 3 times on the PUB board, and I've seen how people are lobbied and they sell themselves. They literally sell themselves. Okay, and I wouldn't doubt it. JJ would do it because to me, he has no ethics. He has no integrity. So be careful if you're going to vote for him. And I don't care if you don't like me for me saying it. You can stop being my friend if you don't like it. But I'm telling you the truth. I know Adela won't sell herself. She's been proven, she's been tested, and she has passed that test. So you may not like her for, I had one tell me, no, Adela's all about Adela. And that lady gave me a hard time when I was mayor. She always tried to sound like she knew a lot. She didn't know diddly squat. So I finally cut her off. I said, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Yeah, because she was always going, against everything. Just going against. They have nothing to offer. All they do is criticize, and they don't even see what's been accomplished. Thanks to Adela, we reclaimed our junior college. They forget that. They don't care. They wanted to go back to the way it was, to where we're controlled by the elite, okay, for self-serving reasons. It's not for the benefit of our young people, okay? So I'm asking you to give her your support, trust her. I know you won't go wrong. So early vote ends tomorrow for the TSC college board, and election day is the 13th. I pray that she will be victorious, and if not, we'll move on. But elections have consequences. Elections have consequences, and maybe I'll die tomorrow and I won't see what happens. But the way the country's going, the way we've gone too far to the left, they have consequences. We're seeing now the results where the elections aren't even clean anymore. They're very questionable. You see where the judicial system is It's a two-tier system. It's for those that can afford it. It's for those that have power. It's for those that have influence. It's for those that it depends on what party you are. Maybe you can walk out with no consequences, and then you come back and murder somebody. Like we've seen. I know that I know the mainstream media doesn't report a lot of this, but we've seen a lot of murders, and a lot of rapes, and a lot of things going on because the liberal judges don't do anything. They don't hold anybody accountable. They just let them walk out. They can have a long rap sheet, and they let them out. And somebody's son, somebody's mother, somebody's grandfather gets murdered because these people are evil. But we allowed it. We allowed it. We elect people that appoints them, and this is their ideology. You know, like Schumer, God Almighty, most despicable man in Washington, in my opinion, or Pelosi. They got rich off of us by being there as public servants, and they're multi-millionaires. And it's not about serving; it's about them. And there's on the other side too. You're talking about Mitch McConnell. You're talking about people like that, Phil Graham, and what's his name, the one that just got defeated, the attorney general. They used to be the attorney general for Texas, John. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, he got wiped out by Paxton in the primary. That guy was also, wishy-washy. It takes conviction to be a good leader, and if you don't have that, you don't belong there. If it's about you, you don't belong there. We need more people, good people, to run with conviction and wanting to serve the mission, the country, the state, the city, whatever it is, the school board, whatever it is, to serve the mission. But first, we're here to serve God in whatever capacity we can. And that's by doing what's right in whatever capacity we're in, by doing what's right. We're not perfect, but don't intentionally undermine the taxpayer, the citizens that you represent, the citizens that trusted you to do what's right, they elected you to serve and do what's right. Today, I'm very passionate about what I do. I love what I do as far as my work and the things I do. I love what I do. That's why I enjoy doing it. And I think that's why I benefit from it in many ways. I'm very blessed. But today, we talked about the CAD and the high valuations. Today I filed a complaint that I've been meaning to file. And I filed a complaint to fire the chief appraiser, Richard Molina. I filed it with the board chairman of the Cameron County Appraisal District, Eddie Garcia, and his chief deputy, Laura Gonzalez. Their address is there on Levy, that high-rise building there that used to be the bank, Mercantile Bank. I went there and hand-delivered the complaint. And I gave plenty of examples why you should be fired. These high valuations are not sustainable, and it's hurting a lot of people, and they don't care. And they do this every year. I saw a 92-year-old lady forced to sell her land because she couldn't afford the valuations. She cried. She was a retired postal worker, and she lives over there on Indiana. And she sold it. She sold it cheap, by the way, not for what the appraisal district had it valued. But anyway, those are the consequences of having people in power that ignore what's going on because they'd rather just sit there and do nothing. Hopefully, this new board chair and new tax collector will do something because he has the power to do it. He can bring it to the table. And all those that are on the board with him have that power. They need, and I put there in the letter. I should not need to have to write this letter. You all should know. You all should be in touch with the taxpayers to know what they're being subjected to by the chief appraiser. Okay, they should know it, and they should be addressing it without me bringing it to their attention. But I did bring it to their attention, and those people on the board are. Let me tell you, it's Eddie Garcia, Daniela Lopez Valdez, who's on the BISD board, Ken Matters, Jesse Villarreal, David Garza, who's with the county, David Argabright, Philip Cowan, who's well known here, Richard de la Garza, Alejandro Garcia Moreno. They're all on the board. They oversee the chief appraiser, and they should know what's going on in the community that I should not have to take it to them. But I did file the complaint, and I pointed out to them. One property in particular that stands out was that it was valued at like 400. Let me tell you right now, it was valued at 459,398, and I lowered it to 150,000 because I know how to fight. The property owner doesn't know. He couldn't have done it. I did it, and I don't charge for it. Okay, that was in 2024, and nothing's changed. And the following year, they went back up again, and this year again they went up to the same, almost 500,000. So I'm going to go before the ARB and fight them again. Nothing has changed for them to increase the valuation. Another one. It was valued at 58,000. Then they went up to a little over $1 million. And I lowered it back down to 58,000. That's a lot of taxes, But I demonstrated that the highest best use was not the same as the comps they were using on Alton Grower that would provide a good return like the comps that were using. And I lowered it down to 58,000. You know what the appraisal did the next year? Went up to 700,000. They don't care. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. And the poor guy, they end up giving up because they don't know how to fight. They're not experts in that field. I am. I just had another one that I reduced by 43% a couple of weeks ago. And again, I shouldn't have to do that. In fact, I got plenty of stuff to do that I don't have time for this. So I ask you to take the time and call Eddie Garcia. He's not going to take your call. And just leave a message there and say, look, these high valuations are not sustainable. This is one of the primary reasons the market crashed in 2008. The valuations were too high. And tell them, look, these valuations are not sustainable. We're the taxpayers. We're the ones being burdened with this. So the public entities can just throw money away like it's water instead of cutting waste, And tell them you want the chief appraiser fired. I did my part. I took the initiative of stopping and writing the complaint. Now it's your turn to do nothing or just pick up the phone and call. There's a warehouse that I'm going to handle right now. The value went from $1,579,397 to $4,498,427. That's a 65% increase. Now, if you're an investor and you got a warehouse and you lease it. Let's say you lease it. Let's say you lease it at 60 cents a square foot. Then they slap you with those kind of increases. Your only choice is to pass it on to your tenant. But if your tenant has a 5 year contract, you have to absorb it as the investor. And if at the end of the 5 years you pass it on to your tenant probably vacate and go find another warehouse cheaper. You know, they don't stop and think about the impact they're causing. All they're thinking about is collecting more revenue so the public entities can spend like drunken sailors. So call this number, write it down, 956 544 0800, and say, this is a message for Eddie Garcia and the Chief Deputy Laura Gonzalez. Okay? And tell them, you're against the high valuations. It's time to rein in the chief appraiser. They've lost most of their veteran appraisers there. And I think that's one of the reasons they're in a mess right now. They got a lot of rookies. And just tell them the high valuations are not sustainable. So take the time, please. You may think it doesn't matter, but it does matter, because these people come around, ask you for your vote when election time comes, and you remember that. If they ignored you, remember that. Um, so take the time. Uh, if you don't complain. And if you look around, you'll see people that are really hurting. Maybe not you. Maybe you can afford it. But for a large part, especially being one of the poorest counties and cities in the nation, the demographic here doesn't lend itself. Uh, that's why we need to create jobs. That's why we need to uh, the junior college to train people for these opportunities. They're coming as we grow as a county and as our city. I was a little disappointed in the edit table that I'm sure you heard about it. And I'm an environmentalist also at heart, and I'm a pet advocate. But I also cannot ignore that despite of ourselves, uh, the city and the county is going to grow. We just have to manage our growth responsibly. We have to manage our growth responsibly. We need to create the environment to bring industry. And I was a little disappointed. I don't know why Eddie tabled it, but there was a initiative there that, or an interest, I should say, to have a shipbuilding company come to our county here, to the port, I'm sure, to build ships. And it was tabled. Why? This is jobs for our young people. Or do you want them on food stamps all their lives in a cycle of poverty with no hope? And I know some people get up in arms and they say no, 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 no. Look, in spite of you, in spite of me, we're going to have growth. We just need to control the growth to make sure it's done responsibly. We need jobs. And the only way we're going to need jobs is to make our county, our city, attractive to investors to be willing to take the risk. And I underline that, be willing to take the risk and invest in our area to create those jobs for our young people and for a better tomorrow for them, their families, and our communities. How many times do you run over a pothole? You know, it costs about $1 million, probably more now. The last time I got that figure, it's been a while. It costs about $1 million to pave a mile of street. Brownsville has about, probably more now. The last time I looked at it, we had about 700 miles of roads in our city. That's 700 million that we need to pave streets if we were to replace them, you know. But the last time I looked at it, we had a minuscule budget for maintenance and paving. So we need industry to come to where we can afford to patch those potholes and pave new streets and maintain the streets and do the stuff, quality of life that makes things better for everybody. But by saying no and thinking that we won by killing progress is not it's not going to help our children. They have to leave because they have no opportunities here. So you know, if somebody can get word to Eddie, I'd put it back on the table. You know, I don't have time to go to all these meetings and be a voice. You know, I'm hoping others will do what I want to do because I'm very busy, just like everybody else. But you know, I did my part. I served my community twice as mayor and 3 times on the board. I served on PADAP. I served as Lions president. So I did my time, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to run for BISD. You know, because I feel that I have a lot to bring to the table, and I think I can work with everybody there that wants to make the school district better for the students and the teachers, you know. And then I'm gonna get attacked. I know that. I don't care, but I mean, it's a shame that that's what it comes to. It's not what they're going to do for you. It's, you know, how can I destroy the other person? And it don't bother me. I think they're cowards, in fact, when they do that. They're spineless. They should run on what am I going to do? You know, how can I make it better? Why am I the better choice? You know, instead of all this horrible negative stuff they put out there, and it's mostly lies. It's propaganda. It's vile. It's evil. It's negative. It's just corrupt. But that says a lot, not about the person they're attacking. It says a lot about them. You know, they have a dark heart. They have nothing to offer, and don't expect anything good. That's my opinion. You may have a different one, and I have not seen where this benefits our community. So go vote early, and hopefully you support Adela. I think she's doing a good job. I think we owe her our gratitude for regaining, reclaiming the junior college for our community. We had lost it, and now we have it back. It's thriving. Many students have benefited. In this graduation, there was, I think, a little over 1,000 graduates. You know, and this is a lot about how far the junior college has come since it had been taken over by the University of Texas. Out of those 1,000 graduates, 600 of them were dual enrollment in high school, which means they got 2 years of credit. They saved 2 years of college tuition. The parents did, you know, because of the program set up by TSC. So, you know, this is something for that we should look at instead of listening to that negative attacks. I just saw one right now, and I'm gonna point it out by JJ. It shows how desperate he is. Um, it says here, I don't know, yeah, I don't know if you saw that. There's a picture of JJ with Adela, and it says that Adela throws the towel and endorses JJ. It's a lie. It's a lie. But it shows how desperate JJ is. He will get maybe 100 people to believe it, and they'll go around and spread it out, and it does have an impact, and it does give him an edge. But it's all based on a lie. Is that the kind of person you want as a leader? Is that the kind of person you want to govern us? Can you trust what he says? To me, he's scum. And I used to like JJ. I supported. I think I even donated to his campaign. But for him to lower himself to that level says a lot about him. And the other person that supports him, I'm having second thoughts, serious thoughts. Because if they were to use this type of campaign on that person, she wouldn't be there now. And I defended her. And that's sad that they're supporting this kind of garbage. And you must put a stop to it. You can make a difference with your vote. We're about to close, but I want to raise some points here. First of all, I want to thank you for those that do join me and take the time out of their busy schedule. I enjoy doing this. I don't have much time to prepare because I'm very busy, but I just go around the week and listen to people and bring those things to the table here before you, in case you haven't heard about them, or you get my 2 cents worth, and for whatever it's worth. If I influence one person and it helps them, I'm glad to do that. And right now we have the city manager's position up in the air. Let me give you my 2 cents worth. I was there. And I can go back to the early 90s. We had a deficit, $2 million deficit. No reserves. We couldn't sell bonds. We couldn't build a library. We had no passenger airline. We couldn't pave streets. We couldn't even clean the streets. We had no street sweepers. And I can go on and on and on. We had no police substations. We had no equipment for fire and police. We had no those high-rise ladder trucks. We had none of that. We were in desperate situation. But I introduced initiatives to balance the budget, and I got blasted. You can go back to the archives and see where I got blasted every day because of my initiatives. I got called crazy, got called stupid, but we got them done. And we balanced the budget, built up our reserves, sold some bonds, lowered the tax rate. I can tell you, I did more than the mayor before me and the mayors after me all put together. I'm telling you, based on my initiatives to move the city forward. Okay, I even with collaboration of a special ed teacher, allowed special need children into our city hall to work along with our employees to make them feel useful. That program was discontinued, and I feel very bad about that because it should have gone on. We need to give these children hope and a purpose and allow them to be part of us. And it doesn't cost us very much to do that. It requires a little care and a little love. But for some reason, that doesn't matter. But like I tell you, I've been there. I know what it's like. And right now, back then, my city manager, Kirby Lidgerall, who was the best city manager we've had since I can remember, they wanted me to fire him. I said, I'm not going to fire. I'm not going to cut my right arm. Uh, I just told him, you take care of the administration, I take care of the politics. And I took a lot of heat to get things done when he told me, Pat, that's very political. You're going to be attacked. He was trying to protect me. I said, don't you worry about that. You take care of the administration, I'll take care of the politics. When I raised the rates on the public transportation system from 25 cents to $1, he told me, they're going to attack you that you're against support. I said, look, if we don't do anything, we're going to lose the public transportation system, and they're going to have to catch a cab from Southmost to downtown, pay $8 back then. So it's better to raise it from a quarter to $1. That was my reason. And stuff like that, okay? But we did it. And he was the best city manager. And what I liked about Kirby is that you didn't tell him what to do. You know, and I think that rubbed off some people because he was not an errand boy. He was a smart man. He was not an errand boy. And that's my point. What we've had since then, Charlie Cabert and all the rest of them, errand boys. They want to be there so bad. Para mí son muertos de hambre. They like the paycheck, $200,000 a year. All they have to do is please the commissioners. And the commissioners, they want a puppet that gives them what they want. Forget about running the city. It's about them. And that's where we're at right now. Right now, we're looking for a city manager, supposedly. But that's what they want. They want an errand boy. When the city manager before Helen Ramirez, when he left abruptly, I wrote a letter to the mayor, back then it was Trey, and to the acting city manager. I told him, look, I'll manage the city for free for 1 year. I know the city. I know the city better than the one you had, better than the one last, better than Helen. So I'll run the city for 1 year for free. And I did this for somebody else who was in the hole, desperately in the hole, and was going to close his business. Okay. I managed his business for free for a period of time. I got him out of the hole, and then I left. And he was forever grateful, and I enjoyed doing it. And I offered the city commission and the same offer. I said, look, I'll manage the city for free for 1 year with one condition. I'm not going to be your puppet because I'm not beholden to anybody. You take care of the politics, and I'll run the city. You don't interfere with the administration. Now, you can always fire me. And what did I mean by that? What I meant by that is that, look, like Gowan, she went to the city manager and demanded, from what I understand, that they cut 10% from everybody's budget to give her for her projects. That's not acceptable to me. Why should I cut 10% from each budget to give her for her little projects? That's not acceptable. Now, if that's what you want, you bring it to the table. Transparency, baby. Transparency. You bring it to the table. You want that, you fight for it, and you bring it to the table, you introduce it, you get the support from the commission, and it passes. I don't like it, but I will gladly carry out the duties of the city manager and cut 10% from every department and give you the 10% from every department for your special projects. But it's got to be transparent. And it's got to be legal. That's all I'd ask. I didn't ask for anything else. All I said is, now you can come and talk to me about anything, a suggestion or whatever. And if I think it's a good suggestion, I will do it. If it's going to be for the betterment of the community, I will do it. But I'm not going to be your errand boy. And you take care of the politics. That's all I ask you to do. You go out there, find out what the needs are, what the priorities are, and you come back and you tell me, hey, Mayor, we need to pave some streets over here. Where can we find the money? We'll bring it before transparently and get it done. And of course, it was a rhetorical letter I sent. They don't want to hear somebody say no to them. So even if it's free, they prefer to hire a headhunter, pay him $200,000, then hire somebody like Helen Ramirez, who knew Diddley Squad, made a mess of things in many ways. Then she up and left, like the one before. And like a carpetbagger, she was being paid over $200,000 plus all the perks. Here, I said, I'll do it for free. Look, I'm not a rich man, but God has blessed me so much. I got a roof over my head. My belly's full. My needs are met. I can't complain. You know, there's more to life than money. And it's good to be ambitious. I'm not saying money's a bad thing. No, I'm not saying that. But money's not my God. It never has been. So I'm just asking you to pay attention to who they hire at the city. Hopefully they'll bring an outsider who has the gumption to say no. Charlie Cabra was a bad city manager. He was Charlie Atkinson's chinchicle there. Horrible guy, horrible man, in my opinion. So anyway, that's up for grabs, in case you don't know. I will remind you that summer's here, and I see many people walking their dogs in the middle of the day. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Walk them in the grass, yeah, but I mean, don't walk them on the pavement, on the sidewalk. It's like 120 degrees or more for them and their paws. Last time at the last podcast, the phone rang and I didn't take the call. Then after the podcast, I talked to the person. She took her dog to the dog park and he ran and ran and ran and he got heat stroke. And that's what she was calling me about what to do. Well, it was too late. The dog suffered. You can't let your pets run during this heat. They don't know their limits, and they can have a heart attack. So if that happens to you, the first thing you need to do is slowly introduce cool water in their body, cool them down, and get them to a vet as ASAP. Get them to a vet right away. So please be cognizant of the heat, the time of year. Also the fleas and ticks. Spray your lawn, spray your indoor inside your house. Go to Home Depot and get the stuff that you need to spray your lawn and do it every month right now. But most important, give them the monthly pill because fleas and ticks carry diseases. And, we are stewards of our environment, our wildlife and our domestic life and our fauna. And we need to be better stewards. So, take care of your animals and be sure they have plenty of fresh water and plenty of shade, or put them indoors where it's cool, have a fan or something. But don't let them be running to where they can get a heat stroke or something like that. I want to also tell you that uh, the good people, which are many, um, I've been blessed with over the years. Uh, Many of them are gone and they're leaving us. You know, that's part of life. I worry about those who are coming behind us. My hope is the young people. My two grandchildren. I see how they're growing up, and they're growing up to be fine young adults, very respectful. I take them to church every Sunday. I encourage to invest in your young ones. You may not like to go to church, but take them to church. It will give them the moral compass that they need when you're not going to be around, or when they're trying to be influenced by others to do something that's not right. Uh, Take them to church. Invest a little bit of your time. Whatever church you go to is good, whether it's Catholic, Protestant, whatever. Just as long as uh, it's a church that worships God, our Creator. Okay, and teach them to be good Americans. Teach them to have pride in their country. Teach them to be respectful of their flag. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to, people in government have bad policy sometimes or make bad decisions. It's okay to disagree and it's okay to have your opinion. But guide them. Give them a perspective that you perhaps think they may not be seeing, you know? Like this Free Palestine. What a bunch of crap, man. They're terrorists. They would kill these young people that are protesting in their favor. They would kill them. They would have no tolerance for them. But they're out there protesting against our government. They Are they that stupid? Or, I hear people about how bad ICE is. Well, ICE is doing what the law says. They're enforcing the law. If you don't like the law, change the law. And let me tell you, think twice because you could be their next victim. Unfortunately, Biden let in millions of people unvetted. There are some good people, I'm sure, but they still broke the law. And you can't have a double standard in enforcing the law. You either enforce it or you don't enforce it. And we have a lot of people that shouldn't be in this country that he let in. And that was so unconscionable and irresponsible. And it's tearing our country apart. So, you want to hate ICE? Think about why. Think about if it's your child that's raped or murdered. So don't be so quick to jump on the bandwagon that's fashionable. That hey, you're for a noble cause. That's no noble cause. That's a cause that goes against your country, where so many people died. Recently, June 6th was D-Day. Young people, 16, 17, that joined the military, lied and joined the military. They went out to war. They had courage. They had patriotism. And maybe they were afraid when they were facing the enemy. But they had the courage to go forward and to die. And they knew they were going to die, most likely, when they were up against insurmountable challenges and odds. But they died for us so we could have the freedom. And we need to value that. We need to value that and appreciate that and never forget, just like the Holocaust, never forget But we're allowing it. We're forgetting. The young people are forgetting. It seems to them so easy to forget, and they find a way to justify that. Nothing's perfect, but those people didn't die in vain. And don't let that be in the minds of our young people, because without them, they wouldn't have that freedom. So, guide your children and take the time, uh, take them to church. I know what I'm telling you. I took my children when they were young to church. I'm taking my grandchildren now. It's easy to stay home and relax and all that, but I enjoy going to church. I love my church. And I enjoy spending time with my grandchildren. We go out to eat. Their favorite place is surfing crab, and we get this big platter, and we get to spend time together, and it gives us time to connect. And the same thing in church. It gives you time to connect with God and have a have a conversation with Him. Uh, Whatever your needs are, ask Him to meet them. Whatever your friends' needs or your family needs, ask Him to meet those needs. But let it be His will, not your will. And with that, we're going to end the program. I thank you for joining me. God bless you. Let's see what goes on this week. But above all else, don't forget to go vote. Call your friends, call your family, and tell them to go vote. Tomorrow's the last day for early voting, and the 13th is election day. Tomorrow, I'm going to go vote. Uh, the time before last, I was in a rush. I got there 2 minutes before, but I managed to get there to vote in time. It just got away from me. So, I mean, go vote and encourage those in your network. We owe, in my opinion, Adela a lot, and I hope that she gets elected again, that you trust her, because I think you can. And I think we're headed in the right direction with the junior college. And I think many good things are about to happen in this area. More new jobs going to be coming in uh, because of the opportunities that are being coming heading this way. And I'm hoping that the judge will reconsider and bring it back to the table, the discussion about the shipyard that wants to come. I would hate for them to go to the port of Harlingen, for instance. They have a port. That's what happened with Southwest. Southwest wanted to come to Brownsville, and somebody, from what I hear, I'm not going to name names, but put some conditions on them, and Southwest said no. They went to Harlingen. That's why we don't have Southwest in Brownsville. We could have had them. And the same thing happened, if you recall, when I was trying to bring international flights from here to Veracruz and Cancun, and from here to Monterrey and Mexico City. Uh, some idiots that thought they knew it all went and killed it. And now we have nothing. We have nothing. They offered nothing. All they wanted to do was kill it, kill it, kill it. And they did. And they listened to a pedophile who's in prison now that said he was going to bring an airline. He never did. But this is what these people that go over there and attack and offer nothing. It's all negative. I always say, if you're going to attack, offer a solution. Don't just attack. What better solution do you have? If you don't, then why don't you try supporting it and pray for the best? And if something goes wrong, then say, okay, you were given the chance, you failed. Okay? But we at least gave it a chance. I would have loved to have been part of that international flight. I had so much hope for it. I think it would have been a great success. But what's his name? Grove was one of the leaders there. No, 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 no. Never offered anything. And others. They just no. So, we need to work together, and we can disagree. But let's not undermine each other because we're undermining our community. That's what it's all about. Thank you all. God bless you and have a nice evening. I'll see you next week, same time. Tell your friends. I hope they can join us. Share the podcast if you can. And text me or call me with any suggestions or points of discussion. You can call me at 956-572-8172, or you can text me. Thank you and good night. God bless.